Hey y'all, welcome back to InnoIso. Today is day 8 of Microsoftober, our Surface-focused event covering all Surface products going back to the Microsoft Surface RT in anticipation of the Surface Pro 9 release later this week. I'm super excited for the release, and today we're going to be looking at the Surface Pro 8 1 year after its release. But that wasn't the original plan for this video. The original plan was to be reviewing this, which is the Microsoft Surface type cover Bluetooth connection. It's kind of the wireless type cover connection, which allows you to take a touch or type cover from the original Surface devices and somehow make it Bluetooth. I was really excited about this device because I had never gotten to use it when I initially had my Surface RT and my Surface Pro 2. And so I decided to look online. It was not really readily available for sale. This isn't the type of thing that you could just go and pick up from Best Buy. Unfortunately, I was only able to find one listing, and that was for a used listing on Mercari. If you're not familiar with Mercari, it's like Wish.com. If Wish.com, instead of Chinese factories selling things out their back doors, it's instead American basements selling things outside their back doors. It's usually pretty crappy products, and that's not a surprise that this one, unfortunately, was not functional. That being said, I'm glad to have had it, and thankfully I didn't pay too much for it, but it's a little bit sad that I wasn't able to cover it in this Microsoftober. If someone happens to have one of these on hand that they'd be willing to sell me, then please contact me on Twitter, and maybe we'll be able to make a deal, but it won't be part of this Microsoftober coverage. That's okay, because that just means we're going to be looking back at the 1 year anniversary of the Microsoft Surface Pro 8, which is an absolutely incredible tablet. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing a deep dive where we're going to install Android applications on here. So if you're interested, be sure to get subscribed and keep an eye out for that video. But for now, I want to talk a little bit about my experience since my initial review, which came out about 6 months ago. Now, that review was generally positive. That's a good thing. It was a great product experience with a couple bugs that kind of marred the experience in general. I can freely say now that most of the bugs have been ironed out. Probably a lot of those were part of Windows 11 early builds. And now the Surface Pro 8 is continuing to be an incredibly capable computing device. Now, a lot of the comments that I saw in that video were around my attempts to try and get this to be my video editing system. Let's talk about video editing on the Surface Pro 8. So granted, yes, for most cases, people recommend that you have higher specs than the Surface Pro 8 if you want to edit videos in Premiere Pro. But there is an option if you want to start editing your own YouTube videos on your Surface Pro 8, and that's something called proxying. What proxying is basically taking a very heavily compressed file format of the videos and then basically decompressing it so your Surface doesn't have to do that work while you're actually scrubbing along the timeline. Now, I'm probably oversimplifying it, but that's just my understanding. And so, with proxies, the Surface Pro 8 can edit 4K video clips pretty easily. Now, if you layer on a whole bunch of effects, and if you layer on many different clips in a timeline, then yes, the Surface Pro 8 is probably going to kind of get bogged down. But for me, as someone who just edits very simple clips in YouTube and cuts it down and adds on a couple layers of B-roll, the Surface Pro 8 serves an incredible role. I know a lot of y'all aren't video editors, so this might not matter to you. But what it means in general is that the Surface Pro 8 is still a very capable machine. Notably, this is the i5 model with 8 gigs of RAM. And I'll show some clips of me actually editing videos on this product. Now, granted, I am not a super seasoned video editor. While I've made 100 videos for this channel, most of them have been relatively simple edits without a lot of effects and actions and all that stuff. And usually I just have 1 or 2 video clips running at any time. But if, for example, you want to go build your own YouTube channel, then editing videos on a Surface Pro 8 is very possible. Which basically tells the story of the Surface Pro 8 for me. Now, tomorrow we're going to find out whether it was able to run Android apps well. I know that initially it wasn't the best experience, but if it's able to improve on that experience, then it could be that the Surface Pro 8 is honestly the one device to rule them all. No matter what your use case, the Surface Pro 8 is incredibly capable at doing so. And that's exactly what I had originally planned when I had first bought the Surface RT 10 years ago. It's incredible that in the last 10 years, we've gone from basically Microsoft building a mobile operating system for a relatively low-powered chip to what is now an incredible desktop experience on something as slim and tiny and portable as the Surface Pro 8. Over the last 6 months, the Surface Pro 8 has become largely my go-to computer for many different things. Now, I have reviewed a lot of other computers over that time, but something about the Surface Pro 8 keeps me coming back, and I think it's that portability. Yes, technically I can always take another laptop and slide it into my backpack, but if all I need is this on the go, then I don't even need to bring a backpack along. I can just bring around a little book bag and be able to carry all the computing that I could possibly need in such a tiny footprint. Now, not everything has aged so gracefully. If I had a choice, I would probably go back to the more typical traditional keyboard of the older Surface Pro models. This one, since it kind of stands up so much, it is just a little bit less stable. And honestly, I don't use the Slim Pin enough. Right now it's connected to my Surface Laptop Studio, to warrant needing a charging station for my Slim Pin. One bug that unfortunately has stuck around with the Surface Pro 8 is often when I first boot up the machine, it is unable to log in because the Windows Hello hasn't really loaded up yet. And so I have to log in using a PIN. The more critical bug that I've experienced more recently is unfortunately battery drain. Now, granted, this has happened to me with just about every single Surface device. Now, either I have the Surface automatically shut off and go to sleep, and so then every single time I use it again, I have to reboot it up from hibernation, which takes a few good seconds, or I let the battery drain substantially and just put it into a light sleep mode, and there's not really an in-between. Let me know if y'all experience this, but I don't have that same problem with most of my other Windows laptops. My Dell Inspiron 5310, for example, that I just reviewed a couple weeks ago, still is able to boot up from sleep very, very quickly, and the fingerprint sensor is always ready to do so. That's one disappointment that I have with the Surface Pro 8, and it's one of the things that have kept me from using it as a full-on tablet experience rather than my iPads and Galaxy tablets that I have around the house. The battery life on the Surface Pro 8 has also been a little bit of a letdown. Now, I don't think it's killer. I think I could make it work throughout a day, but it just doesn't have the same sort of long battery life that I'd want out of like a more tablet pick up and go experience. Rumor has it that the Surface Pro 9, to be released in a couple of days, is going to have a bottom tier model that has an ARM-based processor, maybe an SQ3 processor, rather than an Intel-based chip, which is interesting to me. Now, I did do a comparison of the Surface Pro 8 and the Surface Pro X, maybe another 6 or 7 months ago, and my conclusion was the Surface Pro 8 basically covers all the bases, and the Surface Pro X was great, but it's just a little bit too slow. When the SQ3 processor comes out and the Surface Pro 9 is running it, maybe that will be a great solution for anyone who doesn't, for example, want to do video editing on the Surface Pro 9. That could be a great solution, and I'm really excited to see it. But otherwise, for people like me, having that higher additional horsepower might be worth it. Now, one other thing that I hope is brought around in the Surface Pro 9 is the same upgradeability that was in the Surface Pro 8. Having this easily accessible replacement SSD means that basically if you want to upgrade it to something larger, granted it does have a 2230 length chip, the experience and of upgrading this is just incredible. And so honestly, I'm so glad that Microsoft has actually decided to do this. Speaking of the tablet experience, the Surface Pro 8's tablet experience is still lacking, ironically, because of the size of the side-mounted bezels and the horrible, horrible gesture controls of Windows 11. Now, Microsoft seems to have doubled down on the whole gesture experience and on the terrible, terrible widgets that you get on Windows 11, which I just don't understand. Going back to the Surface RT and the Surface Pro 2, I realized just how incredible the gesture controls are on the Windows 8.1, and I really, really severely miss those side swipe gestures to easily get between applications or swiping down from the top in order to close applications, which technically is possible in tablet mode on Windows 11, but Windows 11 is still not a good experience. I'm personally excited to see some of these new designs and form factors coming out, like the rollable displays that have been recently shown off, or the foldable tablets that we've been seeing from Lenovo and Asus? I think it's Asus. That's good news because one of the biggest reasons why Windows on tablets really hasn't been a thing over the past couple of years is there's not really been a great hardware drive for those good experiences. Most people, that I know at least, just use their Windows tablet as a, smaller laptop, which is what made the Surface Pro 8 so incredible in the first place. Let's talk about a wish list of what an ideal Surface Pro 9 looks like. First, I think if we're not going to go back to USB-A, which Digital Guy, one of my normal commenters, has said is not possible in this form factor, then I think the two Thunderbolt 4 ports are fine. I'd love to see, instead of the Surface Connect port, I know some people like it, but I don't love it. Instead of the Surface Connect port, I would prefer maybe like a micro SD card or an SD card reader, but I don't know if the form factor really lends itself to that. That would help it being kind of like a one-size-fits-all for any sort of content creators. Otherwise, I'd love to see better performance, a accessible price point. I'd love to see the SQ3 take off, so then we'd get a lot better battery life. I'd love for Microsoft to include and improve the entire tablet experience, but I don't know if that's going to really work just through hardware alone. Maybe they could make the accidental touches on the edges of the display not nearly as bad, because I have worse accidental touches with this device than I do any other tablet, unfortunately. And then, while it might not be the Surface Pro 9, I'd love to see a Surface Go 4 that had a little bit more horsepower, so then we could have a more compact surface that was a better solution for folks. I think the Core i3 Surface Go 3 was pretty darn good, but I'd love to see just a little bit more in order to have that as a good alternative for people like me who want to relive the experience of the original Surface devices. All right, now we're going to go through some of the comments in the Surface Pro 8 video, and I'm going to address them really quick. Agent091 says that we're waiting for the Alder Lake or Raptor Lake version of the Surface Pro. Efficiency cores should transform this device in many ways, including battery life, especially when you turn off the performance cores and go all in on efficiency cores. Totally love that idea. Totally agree with it. I'd love to see the whole big little structure of more modern chips applied to the Surface Pro. And then hopefully the performance cores will be good for folks like me when I'm editing videos in Premiere. And then the efficiency cores will let it be quick to wake up, let it slowly drain battery life or anything like that. Jose Allen Tan says, my bigger gripe with the Surface Pro 8 is price. It really is expensive. Can you recommend another brand that offers the same price performance capability as the Surface Pro 8, but a lot more affordable? Now, in my mind, the Surfaces always have a premium associated with them. They're more comparatively priced to, at least at MSRP, to Apple devices. Whereas the other OEMs for Microsoft are kind of more competitively priced, the Lenovo's, the Dells, and the HPs of the world. Dell is still a little bit high in pricing, depending on whether you go for their XPS models or for their Inspiron models. If you want a tablet-like experience with the Surface Pro 8, it's actually not really that common. It's becoming more common. Like Dell just released an XPS, the 13-inch XPS, that's kind of comparable to the Surface Pro X, but that's going to be a still very, very expensive device. If you're okay with going to a convertible style like the Spectre X360, for example, from HP, then you'll get a better spec set and better cooling than the Surface Pro 8 for comparable, if not less prices. So that's a consideration if you want to get a little bit cheaper price. In total, the Surface Pro 8 is probably the most versatile computing device that I have, and is best at kind of getting the most done in just one single small form factor. And I really, really hope that the Surface Pro 9 fills the same sort of niche for me. But we'll have to see in a couple days. Thank you for watching InnoIso. I hope you liked this last look at the Microsoft Surface Pro 8. If you did, be sure to get subscribed. Check out some of my other videos in Microsoftober, which this should be the third to last one. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing a deep dive to see what running Android apps on this device is like, and I'll be walking through the whole process. So if you want to install Android applications on your Surface Pro, be sure to watch that video. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be celebrating the release of the Surface Pro 9, and we'll be covering the event. Thank you for watching, and I hope you like the next video. I'll see you in the next one.